it comes. Oh my goodness. In your life have you seen anything like that? There it is. A win for the ages. Is it his time?
Welcome back to the Putting It Straight podcast, the podcast where we talk about everything golf. I'm your host, Matthew Fieldsend, and again, you're joined by my co-hosts, Simon Data and Tom Palmer. How are we doing, lads? You okay?
Yeah, all good, mate.
Good, thanks, mate. Yeah, fantastic.
Had a good week?
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, obviously, we've had a very interesting weekend with the Genesis Invitational. We ended up with Max Homer coming out on top. Tom, I'm going to come straight to you because you were extremely confident with your prediction.
I have been waiting for this all week.
It's just a bad week.
Let me just settle in. I'm just going to get
I was going to say, I just want to get comfortable for this because I want to enjoy this moment.
Plenty more weeks to go.
Yeah.
But do you just want to talk us through it? Because I believe, if I'm right, Simon, he said he was extremely confident that Bryson was going to dominate and overpower Riviera. Is that about right?
Dominate. He said a cool 15 under is what he said.
Cool 15 under. He quoted that as well.
Yeah,
he just wasn't on his game. He was just not hitting it great. He was hitting it off the planet, so it doesn't help, does it?
It doesn't.
Really doesn't.
It really doesn't.
And I don't want to say I told you so, but I did say you can't overpower Riviera.
We did tell you so. We tried our hardest.
Don't worry. Next week's pick's going to be he's going to come out on top. So
but if I know you like I do, I'm pretty sure you're just going to pick another bomber. But we'll wait.
He's just top form. So he's on top form. He's playing well. He did well last year. So.
And Simon, your pick, Joaquin Neiman.
Yeah, got a lot of grief for it. Got a lot of grief for it, but he was up there for a long old time. He had a shocker on Saturday, which was unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was the reason that I picked him, because I thought he'd play well if it got windy, and it got windy, and he played atrociously. So my plan went pretty much perfectly then.
I mean, he did a really good job of proving you absolutely wrong with how good he is in the wind. It was a shame because, like you say, he looked really solid in round one and round two.
He's been playing great.
Yeah. And then a little bit of wind came up. But, I mean, it did get
a little bit of wind. It was a lot of wind.
I mean, did you see the putt from Keegan Bradley on 10, which is pretty much when they call play?
Yeah.
That was like crazy golf. All it needed was a windmill.
That was it, yeah.
But, I mean, it did make me laugh. It did make me laugh. I think about events that I've played in the past and organisers just leaving us out in 45, 50 mile an hour wind. They're getting pulled off in a 25 mile an hour gust.
See, I actually spoke about this, and the thing is, you're not playing on greens. Well, you're not likely to be playing on greens that are 13 on the stimp.
Yeah. So
the ball's more likely to oscillate and move around on greens out there. So they're going to pull them off more quickly.
They had to. It when you see something like Keegan Bradley's put on 10, where it scrolled past the. I mean, it looked like a good putt. It had good pace. Looked like it was just trickling down at the hole, and then just sped up and ended up running between the two bunkers and off the green. Incredible, really. But I mean, once they got play restarted, they finished Saturday's round and then got into the final round with Sam Burns. Still had did you have a 2-shot lead going into the final?
2-shot lead. I think he was going into the final day. It was a shame, really, to see him fall away.
It was. I think he played a lot of good golf, particularly day one, day two, set a 36-hole tournament record. Very impressive. And then, I mean, I think he shot 3 over in the third round, but still held a lead. So it's one of those where you go, okay, I've not played great, but I've still got the lead, and that's the most important thing. But yeah, it was a shame to see him fall away, but let's give credit where credit's due. Tony Finau, Max Homer, 64 and 66 respectively to get into the playoff. I did feel for Max Homer on 18 though. I could not believe he missed that putt to win.
I know, neither could I. And then when he was up
One
against
of
that
our
tree in
viewers
the
picked
playoff,
him.
Say that again, Tom.
Didn't one of the viewers pick Homer?
yeah,
We did have a viewer, Andrew Cameron,
got
actually
it bang
called
on.
Max Homer to win, which is an incredible shout. So congratulations to Andrew. That is very, very impressive. So, of course, the only person this week with 10 points, as he was the only one to pick Max Homer. There were a few other really good shouts. If I don't mention it, she'll kill me. So Beth, my girlfriend, did actually pick Tony Finau. Now, she's not really massively into golf. She's started to get into it a little bit. I've never seen anybody get into a round of golf so much. And she was so into it going into the playoffs. So she was gutted when Tony lost in the playoff. But we had a few people pick John Rahm as well.
Yeah, he was right up there, wasn't he?
Tied for 5th, yeah.
Yeah, your old bandwagon choice did quite well, considering.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee. I think I did say that he was going to guarantee me 6 points. He came up slightly short. He got me 4 points.
15th, wasn't he? 15th.
So you got 4 points, Matt. How many points did you get, Si?
He was tied 41st, I think.
So yeah, you got 2 points on.
I'm on -5.
Yeah, you're way behind,
I'm
mate.
15 points behind the leader then, so just a bit of catching up to do.
You've got some catching up to do. You need a few good weeks in a row. And I mean, the good news, Tom, to be fair, is you weren't the only person who got -5. There were a few people that chose Justin Thomas.
Yeah.
That was a big surprise.
Shocker. Yeah.
I thought he was going to do well.
Rory missed the cut as well, didn't he?
Yeah, Rory was another one. Now, Rory's an interesting one because Rory's had a bit of decent form the start of the season. But I think you picked up on it, Sam, actually. He changed some equipment this week, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He changed the shafts in all of his irons. So he was using the Project X 7.0s, and then he went to the Dynamic Gold X 700s. So real stiff, real heavy shafts.
Strange that is to swap shafts like midway through when you're playing well, though, isn't it?
Exactly. Whether it was something... I mean, there's been a couple of suggestions from people that I speak to saying, he's got more speed now. He's doing a lot more speed training in keeping with what Bryson's doing. And, he needs those heavier shafts to try and keep his ball flight down because he's notorious for hitting the ball high anyway. And round there, you saw how windy it was. If the ball's going up in the air, the wind could have taken it 40, 50 yards offline. So it might have been in a ploy to do that. It looks like whatever he did, it didn't work anyway.
The difficulty is when you're changing equipment is it takes a bit of time to get used to it. And if you're used to the way you deliver the club with a certain shaft and then you change that, whether it's heavier, lighter, whatever it might be, it's going to have an input that you're delivering the club. So an interesting decision to change equipment. But I mean, we see it quite a lot with players, particularly with the lucrative sponsorship deals that they have with manufacturers, people changing from one company to another. I mean, John Rahm this year, an interesting one, leaving TaylorMade to go to Callaway.
Yep.
But to be fair, Tom, it's not really affected his form so far this year. He's looked pretty good.
Yeah, he does look pretty good.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if that continues. I mean, there might be a win just around the corner for him. Like I said, he had a good finish this week. So it'll be interesting to see if he leads that into the WGC starting on Thursday.
Definitely. He's got too much talent to not get a win, or another win or more wins. Like he's an unbelievable player. And the fact that he can swap equipment and have such a solid week at a tough Riviera, it's all good signs. So I can only see him getting better.
Do you two see him as a future major winner, John Rahm?
100%, for sure, without a doubt.
Got to be, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Like you say, he's got a lot of game.
I wouldn't ask Tom.
Very, very
Tom's predictions are awful.
Rory's going to do the bits and the Masters, I reckon, already.
You'd love to see it, wouldn't you?
You would love to see it, but I don't think I'm going to be listening to any of your predictions after your
I'm going to
first
put with some good ones now. I'm due, so you want to be listening to me.
He's going to make like a little research montage. You're going to see him just in his bedroom, like all these books open, and he's going to be on the internet looking at stats.
Stats around.
iPad, stats everywhere, PGA Tour app, European Tour
That's
app.
It.
Just the whole works. I think you need it. You need all the help.
After last week's performance. What were you saying, Bryson Dechambles?
Bryson Dechambles.
Dechambles, yeah.
Sounds about right. like I said, it's not all about bombing it. There's still a place in the game for people who plot their way around, and Max Homer definitely found a way to do that round Riviera. Very impressive. We did actually have a question from one of our listeners after the first podcast, which we need to quickly mention. Thank you so much for the support that you've shown so far. The response to the first episode was brilliant. So please keep watching. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to the channel and follow us on Twitter as well.
And emailing questions as well, innit, Matt? So
absolutely, we want to hear all your questions, any funny golf anecdotes that you've got, anything you want to send in to us, we'll give them a read and get them read out for you. But yeah, the question we had this week from one of the listeners was, what golf ball do we all play and why? So Tom, I'll start with you. What golf ball do you play and why?
I play Strixon, Zed Stars.
Okay.
Obviously the rep does look after me a little bit when it comes to playing with golf balls, but they are a great ball. Obviously, for me, any top ball, it doesn't feel like massively, as long as I'm playing with a decent golf ball, they don't feel a million miles away from one another. Whether I play with a Z Star Pro V1, it doesn't make too much of a difference to me, but I do have to play with a decent golf ball that I can generate some backspin with. But apart from that, I mean, Z Stars perform really well, and I tend to use them quite often.
And do you find that you have, because you play that golf ball, when you're working in the shop, do you find that other people want to play that ball because they see you as a PGA pro playing that golf ball?
I think so. I think it's whatever you sort of tell the person that you serve. And obviously it depends on the person that's come in to actually ask for a golf ball. Obviously, not every single player could compress a Pro V1 enough for it to benefit them. But at the same time, I think if you're playing with a decent ball and someone comes in and goes, oh, what ball are you using? They are more than likely going to take your suggestion. So it's always as well, just look at the person that you're actually giving the ball to as to what ball to pick, really.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really good advice. What about you, Simon?
It depends if I'm playing a hole with any water. If I am, then it's a top flight.
Well, it's that Wilson one last time.
yeah, top flight, definitely. X2000 if there's any water there. No, I'm the same as Tom. So I go Strixon Z Stars just because I absolutely love the feel. I think I completely agree. Any of the top balls, I don't think there's that much difference in between them. I mean, it's not for my game, like not that I'm going to see. Maybe at the very, very top level, you'd see a little bit.
If he was there on the range, he'd know the difference.
Oh, he'd know everything.
He'd know.
He would
Stats coming out of his ears.
I don't know. Do you remember seeing that test that he did on the range? This was probably years ago now. This is before spraying the ball. Yeah, because he was teeing off in the morning and it was going to be dewy, and he was spraying the ball to see what difference it would make on TrackMan. Unbelievable levels of detail.
Attention to detail, and obviously he drops all his golf balls pre-round in Epsom salt to find where the center of gravity is, and if it's out, he won't play that golf ball.
Is that true?
Yeah. He's
convinced. Donate those balls to me as well. Those ones you should just give back to.
Yeah, and there is science behind it. So the idea is, if the center of gravity of the ball is off, when you're putting with it, effectively that ball will have a bias.
Yeah.
He measures every ball to make sure that they're all balanced, because not all golf balls are. So, I mean, if there's anybody at home that already does that or wants to give that a try, then go ahead.
That must be where I'm going wrong.
You could do
that. Must be it. That's the only
explanation.
explanation.
Start the game.
I don't think it helps with serial hookers.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it was more fade bias or more to the right-hand side, it might help you.
I might have to contact Bryson and say, look, any golf balls you've got that have a bit of a slice bias, send them my way, and that'll help me out. But
we're picking him up and saying it's detail, but he's still got Tom -5 points. Don't matter. You can drop your balls in Epsom salts as much as you like.
Next week, just wait for my pick this week.
And on those, I mean, we know now that you both played the Z Star ball. Have you always played that ball, or have you transitioned to it from playing, say, a Pro V or a TaylorMade previous to that?
Yeah, so for me, I played Pro V1 and then swapped to Z Star purely because obviously one of the reps from Strixon introduced me to Z Stars. I'd always played Pro V1s before, but I haven't found like a massive difference between the balls. And I've tried a few premium balls, and to be fair, they're all pretty pretty similar.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. And I mean, for myself, I've always played Pro V1X, but similar to you, really. I've played the Strixon Z Star, and I've played the TaylorMade ball as well, just in practice.
TP5 are nice, yeah. I played TP5.
TP5,
sure,
really nice ball.
Yeah.
In fact, when we played the Foremost Assistance, when that was sponsored by Strixon, you had to play Strixon ball in the event.
Yeah.
And I actually really liked it. And I think for me, the biggest difference between those balls, I found it wasn't with the long game. It was more on and around the greens. And for me, I prefer the feel of the Pro V when I'm chipping and when I'm putting. But in terms of whether I'm hitting driver or irons, whether it's the TaylorMade TP5 or the Z Star from Strixon or the Pro V, I like the feel of all of them, but it's just one of those things. I've always played Pro V1X, so I don't really know if I'll ever really get swayed away from that.
I think that's a huge thing that's sort of looked over a lot of the time as well, is the effect that it has on your putting. I mean, because that's the thing that feels the most. Like you say, the little chips around the green as well. But when you put in, that's the thing that's going to have the most feel for you. They're all much of a muchness, I think, when you're hitting driver and irons and things. But wedges in around the green, it's massive.
Even the difference between the Pro V1X and just the Pro V1 when you put in, I feel like the Pro V1 feels a little softer off the face.
Yeah, that's right.
You can notice that difference. So for me, like I say, with the long game, it doesn't really feel too much different, but I can definitely notice it on and around the greens, which is, it's a huge part of the game. If it doesn't feel right, or it feels a little bit different, it can throw you off. So I hope that's answered your question well. So the big news now, guys, is golf is back. March 29th.
I know, looking live.
I can't even begin to explain how excited I am that we're going to be able to get on a golf course. What is it, Tom, I'll come to you first. What is it that you're most looking forward to about getting back to?
To be fair, I'm looking forward to getting back coaching. It's one of those ones, obviously, for me, like I'm pretty much like a full-time coach. That's my main job and my main source of income. Obviously, lately it's been difficult because obviously I haven't been able to do much. But it's nice to get back coaching and see all the kids and see everybody that you haven't seen in such a long time. Yeah,
because you've got a really good junior program, haven't you?
Yeah, so I mean, I've coached about 84 kids, probably something roughly around that number.
Fantastic.
So obviously, when you haven't seen them for such a long time as well, I presume that some of them have grown up a little bit. So it's always interesting to see when they come back. Obviously, we've had a few lockdowns now, and it's just good to get. Hopefully, this will be the last one, and we'll have a little bit of structure back.
Yeah, so. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
And what about for you, Simon? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, same. I can't wait to get back out and playing. But same as Tom, I can't wait to get back coaching as well. It's one of the things that I love most about the game is coaching.
Yeah, because when you came into Drayton alongside myself and Dan, you've taken over the junior program at Drayton Park, which is something that I know that you're really trying to kind of grow over the coming year, which obviously it's been difficult to do with the previous lockdowns, but I'm sure you're going to get some good traction when
I mean, to be fair, it's already going really, really well.
Yeah, that's a great uptake.
Yeah, it's going brilliantly, and they're all great, to be honest. Like I can't grumble at all. They're fantastic. Absolutely love teaching them. It's probably the same as Tom. It's every single one. I've not got as many as you, Tom.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
But from a golfing perspective, obviously it's going to be great to be able to welcome back members to the golf club and be able to see them enjoying their golf again. Where do you think your games are going to be when the two of you get back on a golf course? Because it's difficult to come back to. It's one thing just kind of hitting golf balls and finding a strike, but it's another thing putting a score together on a golf course. Where do you think you're kind of going to be at with your game when you?
I think I'll be teeing up a top flight.
straight to the range
top
balls.
flight. Yeah.
I'm opposite. I am. I've been hitting loads of balls. I'm ready to go. I am.
Have you?
Well, you're in a fortunate position where you've got access to an indoor facility at your place of work, haven't you? So
little security check. Hit a few balls while I'm there. back home.
So technically speaking, I mean, you've made a rod for your own back here, because technically speaking, you should be ahead of the curve compared to a
Should
lot of
be.
other
Wait
people.
till the competition start. That first competition back, we can all have a little look at my score, and we'll put it on the podcast.
Put it on the pod.
I mean, I have to say, from my point of view, I'm looking forward to getting back in the shop and seeing all the members come back. I'm looking forward to doing some coaching as well. I mean, last summer was really, really busy, as we all were, after that kind of first lockdown. So I'm excited to see some of my clients come back and help them get their golf games back. But also from a playing side, I'm just itching to get some competitive golf in.
Is that why you got your clubs in the back?
Yeah, that's why they're here.
He's cuddling them.
They've had their clean, and all the golf shoes have been cleaned and prepped, ready to go.
You notice he's got the speed sticks in there as well, Tom.
Speed sticks are in there. Doing my best Bryson impression.
Not all about distance.
Not all about it, but it helps. But the most important club in the bag is that one.
Yeah.
Putter will always be the most important club in the bag. But yeah, I think I just love the feeling of competing, that adrenaline you get when you get on the first tee. So yeah, can't wait to get back to some competitive golf this summer. Play a full season, because last season it was crammed into about 6 or 7 weeks, kind of between August and September. So it felt like a really short season. So it'll be nice to be able to get back to what will feel like a full season. So that'll be great. But moving on to our next week of predictions, we've got our first World Golf Championship of 2021. This year they've changed venue, so it's at the Concession Club in Florida. So it's a new venue for the tour. I don't think they've been there before.
No, I think they've had some smaller tours on there, and some smaller, maybe some junior events, but I don't think the tour's been there before.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's meant to be really, really tidy. So I'm excited to see the golf course from that point of view as well. But I mean, we'll dive straight into it. So we won't berate you anymore, Tom. We know you had a bad week last week.
Doesn't matter.
We're going to move on. It's all in the past.
Exactly. This week's the one that matters.
Take a deep breath, compose yourself, and let's get your prediction for the WGC.
Well, the good thing about this week as well is there is no cut, is there? So I'm guaranteed 2 points at the very worst. So I'm working my way back
on -3 by the end of the week.
Yeah, hopefully, worst case scenario, I'm on -3. So I'm going to go with Dustin Johnson. He did well last year in the event. He came 12th. Okay. So, and obviously top form, great golfer. I'm going DJ.
And obviously had a good week at Riviera as well.
He did.
Fell away in the final round, but he was there or thereabouts, and he didn't really seem to. He was kind of playing with his B-, C+ game.
He's going to bring his A game this week.
So I mean,
you've still got the chat. You got to give it to him.
Yeah, he's going to keep going. I'm going to keep going the whole time.
I mean, you did say that about Bryson, and to be fair, if nothing else, I admire your optimism and confidence.
You were petrified when I picked Bryson, because if he had a won, you would have both been eating your words then, wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, me and Simon did have a conversation that went along the lines of, if Bryson wins, the second episode is going to be unbearable.
Yeah, something about
but
getting
don't worry, DJ's going to win. No.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we did have somebody else lined up, didn't we?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've held them off for now, but I'm sure in a few weeks' time.
Replace me. Email us in who you want in instead of me.
Brilliant. So moving on to you then, Simon. Obviously, you had Joaquin Neiman last week, which
he had a worldy start.
He got off to a nice start. I'm sure you were like me, to be fair, with Spieth, a little bit smug at home after the first 2 rounds, thinking.
Yeah. I jinxed myself as soon as I sent that message into you boys. That was it. That was it. Then it was all downhill from there.
Group chat, didn't you?
Yeah. He was having an absolute worldie. I genuinely thought that he might go on and do it, especially as I was preached about how good he is playing in the wind, and then when the wind picked up, he was absolutely terrible.
It's just nice so that the viewers and the listeners now know, just how knowledgeable you are with your golfers and what conditions they like playing in. It's really, really good to see.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into that much detail anymore. Not a chance.
So
Keeping
who you
it
going
all
with?
vague.
Yeah, keeping it vague. So this week I've gone for Xander Schauffele.
Okay.
From what I can see, Tour hasn't been at the course before, but from what I can see, it's quite a long course and there is a lot of forced carries over water. There's tons of bunkers. So you're going to have to be accurate. He's right up there in driving accuracy. He's right up there with his scoring average. He's been playing well. He had a real solid week at Riviera in tough conditions. And I imagine it's going to be a similar sort of test where you've got to have your distances on point. You've got to find small parts of fairways and you've got to hit it straight, essentially. So I think that he could do well.
And Xander, to be fair, is when you think of power hitters in the game, he's not the first person that comes to mind, but he's probably one of those players that you'd say is sneaky long.
Sneaky long, yeah.
I mean, watching the golf over the weekend, his ball speed with driver is pretty up to date. It's in the kind of mid to high 170s, which in terms of the power game is pretty up there with some of the big hitters. So he's definitely got the game to compete and win a WGC. He's another one of those where you feel like he probably should have won more than he has.
For sure, yeah.
He's had a lot of seconds and thirds and top fives and things like that. So, and like you say, he's been in good form. So I do think that's a good pick, to be fair.
This is nice not to get absolutely slated for my picks this week. Yeah, this is nice. I like this.
We'll wait to hear what who's
Matt. We're going to slate him either way.
My thought process is, if I'm nice to you with your picks, when I reveal mine, and if it goes wrong, you might go a little bit easier on me.
Not a chance.
No?
Yeah, never going to happen. No.
Well, in that case, I'm just going to dive straight in then. I've gone for Patrick Cantlay.
Okay.
So he's a player that, again, has been similar to Xander, really. He's been in good form this year. Second at the Sony in Hawaii, third at the AT&T at Pebble Beach. Another solid finish this week at Genesis, tied 15th. And just one of those players that's got a really all-round solid game. There doesn't seem to be an obvious weakness when you watch him. I'll admit he's not my favorite player to watch. And I'm sure there'll be listeners that agree with me.
The foot taps.
He's got some interesting mannerisms, the foot taps. He's painfully slow, particularly on the greens. But despite all that, I do like the way he plays the game. Very solid.
He is a terrific player.
He is a proper player.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
no weaknesses as well. I'll hold you to that one.
I know. Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah. Well,
all-round player, no weaknesses.
He puts great. He hits it straight.
You can't not win. Pretty much is what we're saying.
How long did that take? 10 seconds after my prediction, I'm already getting absolutely smashed to pieces.
I would give you more, but it is a great shout. He's a great player.
See, it's hard to deny.
Yeah,
it is.
But I will try my best because it's you saying it.
Yeah, well, of course. I would expect nothing else from you, Simon. But again, so for our listeners, anyone who sent in your predictions last week, thank you very much. We want you to do the same again this week. This is a rolling thing that we're going to do over the coming weeks and throughout the season. So please, again, either email into us or send us a message on Twitter and give us your predictions for this week for the WGC. We really want to hear from you and give us some reasons why. I mean, we've each tried to give some background on the players. We've tried to sound like we've done some research. So feel free to kind of
email then, Matt. What's the email?
So the email is puttingitstraightpodcast@gmail.com, and the Twitter page, because the handle was too long for Putting It Straight, it's just Put It Straight. At Put It Straight on Twitter. So give us a follow on Twitter, get your emails into us, and of course, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. But guys, that's it for this week. Another really enjoyable episode. Super, super excited that golf is coming back at the end of March. Can't wait to get you two on a golf course and take some money off you.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think I'll be getting an Amigo loan.
You're going to have a new nickname, which will be something along the lines of Cash Point.
Cash Point, anything like that, yeah.
But no, thank you very much, guys. Very enjoyable again.
Cheers, Matt.
Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Cheers for listening.
See you later.
Here it comes. Oh my goodness. In your life have you seen anything like that? There it is. A win for the ages.